Departing Port Saint-Honoré toward La Place Vendôme, we first encounter Monsieur Burley, both restaurateur and maker of soft drinks, an artist in both professions, though we note that his rooms do seem somewhat deserted. Onto the entrance of the Tuileries and the restaurant of Monsieur Very, whose mahogany, mirrors, marble and bronzes each compete for the glory of attracting customers. We do not doubt the excellence of the kitchen, the pomp of the salon, the brilliance of the dishes, nor the enormity of the prices, though we would be more sure if there were more customers. If you want a crowd, you should visit his neighbour, Monsieur Le Glace. His salons are not sumptuous, but his cooking must be excellent, his wines exquisite, and his prices moderate to procure him such a numerous crowd every day. Past the ancient government palace by the Rue de l'Echelle, we find on the corner of Saint-Honoré and Defrondeur the acclaimed boutique of Monsieur Odiot, the premier goldsmith of Paris. Then on to Rue Sainte-Anne to contemplate the superb produce of Monsieur Simon, the butcher of Paris, whose display announces the choicest of goods, especially perfect calves whose whiteness is such that the eyes have some difficulty regarding their brilliancy. Taking again Rue Saint-Honoré, we arrive at the Rue de Richelieu and Monsieur Rouget, the premier pâtissier of Paris. Sweet pies, tarts, cakes of almonds, darioles, and those innumerable light pastries that follow all the vagaries of fashion. At Rue de Valois can be found Madame Dubourg, a grocer supplying a good range of provincial foodstuffs, and onto Rue de l'Oratoire and the Hôtel de Marocaine. But now we enter the famous Palais Royal, where all the senses of man are attacked by both tempter and temptress of all kinds. Of all the suppliers of comestibles here, I will select just three. Monsieur Hirmont, at the back of the Theatre of the Republic, with pâtés of all kinds, intermingled with liqueurs, vinegars and mustards of Maille, stuffed turkeys, cooked and raw truffles, lobsters and other sea monsters, and then Monsieur Chevet, superb oysters, beautiful crayfish, herrings from Holland, fresh sardines, and succulent oysters from Marennes. While Monsieur Corsel, well, it would require a very large volume to just enumerate the kind of edibles that this temple contains. The pâtés of Strasbourg, goose liver, Toulouse duck, pithifers, poultry of Chartres, Perigord, partridge, and more. Of cafes there are two that are excellent, Café de Foix and Café de Caveau, if we are to believe those who still continue to attend them, being of a rank that they can only share with the Café de Valois and Café d'Étranger, and we can assume that Café Corazon has not declined under Madame Lenoir, a woman of the best taste and the most beautiful lemonade in Paris. The rest are not worth the honour of being named. Here in the palace we also find the restaurant Monsieur Robert, the Flemish waffle maker Monsieur Van Roosmalen, the patisserie of Monsieur Carnet with his singularly tempting petit four, and finally the confections of Monsieur Berthellemont, whose bonbons are the currency of the most famous poets of the New France. Turning right onto Rue de Richelieu, one encounters the amiable Madame Laban, the first dairy woman, la première crémière, of Paris, whose variety of milk desserts and her teas are glorious. Rue Neuve de Petit Champ brings us both to the celebrated restaurant of Monsieur Leder, as well as allowing us to regard the wonderful display of Monsieur Jean's charcuterie. Liqueur chocolates from Le Mans in Rue Vivienne detain us before reaching the Rue Gand Batelière with the most sumptuous of marbles, and on the same street Baudouin the wine merchant serving maraschino of the gods, as well as an excellent range of domestic and foreign wines. Passing through Rue Le Pelletier, we acknowledge the restaurant of the celebrated and recently departed Rose, whose establishment is reputed to be among the first of its kind. Madame Hardy serves the best kidneys in the capital, and we must conclude that the café prospers as she paid a 20,000 franc bribe to retain the lease. Moving on to Rue de Marivaux finds the patisserie of Dupont, famed for its vol au vents and small pâtés with juice that are the latest fashion. The ices of Monsieur Garcia are to be found nearby and have a strong reputation. For charcuterie, the Rue de Foix-Montmartre offers us the wares of Monsieur Rat and the celebrated pâté of ducks from Amiens, Bouchon, who has moved here from Saint-Honoré, and Lesage, who, though his good nature led to financial ruin, has now re-established himself and his reputation of pâtés of Bayonne ham. Arriving at Moon Montarguiel, we find ourselves at Rocher de Cancale and Parc des Trotteurs, both at once, where at both one can eat, at any time, the finest oysters in Paris. Such is the consumption of oysters here that the discarded shells will rise to the level of the highest houses of the street and become rock formations themselves.